Oh, hi there! Magandang Jensen! It's me, your teacher, Mimik. So today, we're going to have lots of fun and learning. So are you ready? Everybody!
If you want to explore all about science, come and join. Let us all learn. The science is fun. Science is cool. Watch and learn. The science is fun.
Good morning, everybody. For this session, I am going to explain how the respiratory and the circulatory systems work together to transport nutrients, gases, and other molecules to and from the different parts of the body. Furthermore, these are our specific learning objectives. We shall identify and describe the functions and parts of the respiratory and circulatory systems. We shall demonstrate how the lungs work. We shall trace the path of air during inhalation and exhalation. And we shall demonstrate how the heart functions. Next, we shall describe the blood that flows in and out of the heart. Describe the pulmonary and the systemic circulation. Trace the flow of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. And also, we shall explain how the respiratory and the circulatory systems work together. Okay, everyone, let us do a simple activity. First, find a comfortable seat. Now, are you ready? This is just very simple, guys. Now let us begin. Everyone, inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. May I ask you guys, what comes in when you inhale? Really? Then, what comes out when you exhale? Excellent! So, do you know what is the process of breathing in and breathing out called? Brilliant! Very good. That is called the breathing process. And now, I think you are ready for our lesson today. At this point, let us get our SLM or the self-learning module and open activity 1 on page 8. In this activity, you are going to identify each part of the respiratory system. You can choose the answer from the word bank given on the same page. Write your answer on your SLM. Okay, you have finished the first activity. So you can now proceed to the second one, still on page 8 of your learning module. In this activity, you are going to describe the functions of the parts of the respiratory system and then match the part to its function. Just write the letter of your answer on your module. Go, guys! I know you can do it! Ready? Alrighty, before proceeding to the next activity, let us check your answers. Check your work honestly, okay? Now turn to page 27 to know how well you did in the first two activities. Give 1 point for each correct response. Let's start checking it now. Let's see. If you got score of 14 to 17 points, you did a great job. And if your score is 13 below, you can review your answers and read more on the parts and the functions of the respiratory system. Great job, learners! This time, you are going to answer Activity 3 on page 10 of your learning module. Still, you are going to write your answers on your modules. I believe you can do better this time. You may now begin. Enjoy doing your activity, guys! Now, let's check how well you did. Turn your module on page 27 and check your answers. Now, who among you got 10 to 13 points? You did a great job. Congratulations, guys! Now, who among you got the score of 9 and below? Nice try! However, you need to read more on the parts and functions of the circulatory system. Do you want to know the effect of your physical activities to your pulse rate? Your next activity will help you determine such. Come on and read the procedure on page 12 of your module. Now do the steps as stated on your module. Complete the output by providing answers to the guide questions given. Now time for some action. Enjoy! To help you understand the concept of respiratory and circulatory systems working together, I will discuss briefly the mechanics of breathing, the flow of blood in and out of the heart, and the circulation of blood. Breathing is a process that allows the movement of air in and out of the lungs. Now, inhalation or inspiration takes place when the air pressure within the alveolar spaces falls below the atmospheric pressure. This is when the larynx is open. Now, exhalation or expiration takes place when the air pressure within the alveoli exceeds atmospheric pressure. Do you know how air travels in our respiratory system? Inhalation starts at the nose or mouth, where oxygenated air is brought in before moving to the nasal cavity, to the pharynx, to the larynx, and to the trachea or the windpipe. The oxygen will then enter the two bronchi of the bronchial tubes connecting to each lung. Now, each bronchus divides many times into smaller hair-like tubes called bronchioles. The oxygen will then enter the last part of the bronchioles called the alveoli, or also called as the air sacs. In this part, gas exchange occurs, meaning the oxygen will enter the capillaries and gives off carbon dioxide. Yes, that's the real deal. What about during exhalation? Do you want to know the flow of air in exhalation process? When the oxygen from alveoli enters the capillaries, this organ in exchange will give off carbon dioxide and send to alveoli. This gas will then travel to the bronchioles, to the bronchi, up to the trachea, larynx, then pharynx, then to the nasal cavity, and then out to the nose and our mouth. Very easy, right? I do hope you clearly understand the flow of air on our respiratory system. This time, put your right hand on your chest. Now, what do you feel when you touch it? Do you feel and hear sounds like this? Lub-dub, 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 lub-dub. Yes, that is our heart beating. But wait, do you want to know what composes our heart and how the blood flow through our heart? I'll give you an idea in a short while. Do you know that human heart pumps blood to all the body parts? The blood provides oxygen and nutrients to the body and removes carbon dioxide and wastes. As blood flows through the body, oxygen is used up, making the blood oxygen poor or deoxygenated. Now, the human heart is divided into two major chambers, the left and the right. Now, each chamber consists of the atrium, which is the upper part, and the ventricle, which is the lower part. Now, the right chamber receives oxygen poor or deoxygenated blood and pumps it to the lungs, while the left chamber receives oxygen-rich or oxygenated blood and pumps it to the rest of the body. Now, kindly take a look on the illustration of the heart with its parts on page 14 of your learning module. I'll give you time to familiarize the parts. You familiarized it already. This time, I will help you trace the path of blood through the heart. As I discuss here, you can take a look on the heart illustration on your module, page 15. Ready? Then let's start. The blood from the other body parts will enter the vena cava, going to the right atrium. Then it will pass the tricuspid valve and enter the right ventricle. When already on the right ventricle, the blood will continue to flow to main pulmonary artery and driven off to the lungs to get oxygen. Now, what will happen if the blood from the lungs has already enough oxygen? This blood becomes oxygenated blood, meaning oxygen-rich blood. Where is the blood going after it got oxygen from the lungs? If your answer is to the left part of the heart, then you are correct. The blood will enter the pulmonary vein, going to the left atrium. It then enters the left ventricle through the mitral valve and enters the aortic valve, going to the aorta. And finally, it goes out from the heart and circulate to other body parts to distribute oxygen. That's the flow of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood through our heart. Got it? I hope so. Maybe you will ask how the respiratory and circulatory system work together to distribute oxygen and other materials throughout the body. That's the concern of my next discussion. Before that, let's take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. Now let's continue. Now, how do respiratory and circulatory system work together? Both respiratory and circulatory systems work together to circulate blood throughout the body. Air moves to the lungs through the nose and mouth, nasal passages, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli. Oxygen diffuses the bloodstream and transported to the left chambers of the lungs. The heart pumps the blood to the other body parts. As the oxygen diffuses to the cells use the oxygen to break down sugar to release energy. As a result, carbon dioxide gases are produced as waste material in the bloodstream. What will happen to the carbon dioxide? This is carried by the blood as it enters the right portion of the heart. Then the heart pumps the blood to the lungs. The carbon dioxide then diffuses from the blood to the alveoli and travel out of the body during exhalation. This process begins again and again. Now, what do you think will happen if these systems are not properly coordinating? Precisely, yes. Without these coordinated functions of the respiratory and circulatory systems, human will surely die. Now, further activities on page 15 to 21 of your module will give you additional insights on the coordinated functions of respiratory and circulatory systems. You need materials such as 2 small balloons, 1 large balloon, 2 plastic drinking straws, scissors, scotch tape, tape or glue, 1 large pan, water, and toothpick. You need to write your answers to the guide questions on your module. And once you're done, you can now proceed to the other activities in your module. In addition, you have learned from one of your activities that when you inhale, the diaphragm muscle moves down and contracts, making the chest cavity expand. But when you exhale, the diaphragm returns to its original place and relaxes, making the chest cavity return to its original size. Furthermore, you need to take note that pulmonary circulation transport blood from the heart to the lungs and back to the heart, while the systemic circulation moves blood from the heart to the rest of the body. And that is for today, learners. We finished our first lesson in Science 9. To test your understanding on our lesson, you can now answer questions on page 22. You can likewise assess your understanding by answering questions on pages 24 to 25. Until next time, I am your teacher on air, Teacher Mick. Have a safe and fun-filled learning, everyone.